It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of October 25th, 1996. We got 7 movies to look at today, so let's just not waste any more time. Let's get right on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the spoof comedy High School High, starring Jon Lovitz.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left in the power. I've been in my hand.
Somewhere out there's a kid crying, "Show me a consonant. Teach me pi r squared." Minds like thirsty little sponges, just waiting to soak up knowledge.
Our assistant principal is still missing.
Oh, well, the 24 carats, $24.
Oh, no thank you, I already have him. I know it's deaf. What's whack? What's straight up booty?
How was your first day?
Not bad.
The power and the money and the power.
Now, this is your textbook for the semester. They open like this.
You know, you're different from everybody else. I mean, most of the boys I know just want to stare at girls' breasts. You know what I mean?
Sorry, what?
Don't you think the kids would enjoy a nice song with a melody?
What you got, Holmes?
Like a rhinestone cowboy. I think I may be reaching that.
So High School High is, of course, a spoof comedy produced by the same people that did The Naked Gun. In fact, it's written by many of the people who wrote Naked Gun 33 and a Third and the original Naked Gun films. David Zucker, Robert Lokash, Pat Proft. It's directed by, of all people, Arthur Reeves, Batman from Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and Ellis from Die Hard, Hart Bochner, who once again did... this is actually his second movie he directed. We've already looked at one of his movies, PCU, which was a fun little comedy here, and I think this movie is really good, too. I mean, when it came out, it did not do well critically or financially, mostly because they thought it was not as good as The Naked Gun, or something like the best spoof movies, like Hot Shots and all that type of stuff, but really... When you go back and look at this decade of spoof movies and look at what we had after that with the films from Freeberg and Seltzer, and the basic idea that the spoof comedy has now just become what Freeberg and Seltzer and the Wayans brothers had done later on in their careers, I should say. Yeah, these movies actually have a much more special place in my heart now compared to what we have nowadays when it comes to spoof movies of the 2000s and 2010s. I mean, this is a really damn good movie. It's a very funny movie. It parodies a lot of things, mainly Dangerous Minds, but also other movies like The Principal, Lean on Me, The Substitute, Stand and Deliver, Grease, Blackboard Jungle. You know, we've seen this done over and over again. I mean, it's something that's been done even before Dangerous Minds kind of made it cool again, and this is a spoof movie basically on that type of film, and it's a genuinely funny movie. There's a lot of really funny moments in here. The comedy is still very strong. The jokes I'm about to say the jokes are very funny, but that's pretty much the same thing. But the comedy is very strong. The writing overall is really good. I like these characters a lot. Jon Lovitz plays a very good leading role in this, playing the teacher in here. You also have Tia Carrere from Wayne's World, Mekhi Phifer, Louise Fletcher, Melinda Williams, Brian Hooks. Just a really solid cast overall here, and it's a funny movie. Is it Naked Gun or Airplane quality? No, I think the Naked Gun and Airplane are definitely the much better movies, but it's still a really hilarious movie. I have so many moments in here that I can name off the top of my head that make me laugh so hard. I mean, the record scratching scene is one. Like this is the scenes. It's like the scenes in the classroom where he's trying to figure out how to get to these kids, and he's chained to the desk and all that. The stuff we see in the trailer, and there's other stuff too. It's hilarious stuff. It's just hilarious stuff all over this movie. Not all of it works, but at the same time, it's still very funny stuff. I really cannot recommend this movie enough. If you want to see a good old-fashioned spoof movie like the good old days, this is definitely one of those movies that's worth checking out. It got shunned when it came out, but it is going to have a following in my heart, at least over the last couple of decades. I can't recommend it enough. High School High, definitely worth the time. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Stephen King's Thinner.
He's amazed you, surprised you, and brought your nightmares to life. Now, Stephen King brings you the greatest horror of all.
You killed my daughter, and I curse you.
The way lost is its own.
There's no such thing as a curse.
I'm being erased. Thinner. Directed by Tom Holland, rated R. Starts Friday, October 25th, everywhere.
So the Thinner in this is this guy who's an obese upper class lawyer. He ends up killing a person in a car accident, which is actually the daughter of this Romanian person who places a curse on him, and he basically makes him lose all this weight, and there's no way he can eat whatever he wants to, but either way he's going to die by the end of this movie. And of course this is based off of a Stephen King story when he was writing it under the name of Richard Bachman, and that's Robert John Burke from RoboCop 3, because heaven forbid he needs to be in another movie after RoboCop 3. But you have a good idea for a premise here, a good idea for a good horror film, but man, they really missed the mark on this one big time. I mean, not only is the lead character in here so annoying and so detestable that you hate him even more than you're supposed to, like, you can't get any enjoyment out of this movie at all. You can't get any enjoyment of this dude suffering like this, like, because the movie doesn't know what kind of a tone it wants to set. It doesn't want to be this insanely dark comedy or this really serious satirical story that they want to try to tackle here, but it just doesn't work here. And you've got real good talent here: Tom Holland, Michael McDowell. It's just like I said, Stephen King. But even then, Stephen King stuff, it's very so and so. Sometimes you get a good adaptation, sometimes you get a bad adaptation. This is definitely one of those bad adaptations. It's a film that probably had more promise to it than what we got on screen. But man, you hate this movie right from the get-go because you cannot stand any of these characters whatsoever. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. It's a movie that just really is just a mess on so many levels. It's a bad movie. It's not that scary. It's not that fun. It's not that enjoyable. It's a mess of a movie on so many levels. And you can see why it came and went. So that's Stephen King's Thinner. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Whoopi Goldberg in The Associate.
In case you haven't noticed, the women's movement, it didn't quite make it down to Wall Street. This is a man's world.
Next time you're at a really important business meeting, try showing some cleavage. What? See what a difference a chest makes.
I train you and you take my promotion?
Quit. Laurel Ayers,
I have my own firm now.
was having a hard time making it in a man's world.
You're Laurel Ayers? I thought I was meeting two guys. My partner is a guy.
What's his name? Until she made up a man of her own.
His name? Cuddy.
Cuddy.
Teddy? Better than Wild Turkey.
She's created an imaginary partner.
Is Cuddy in?
He's never in.
This early. Really? Nobody even knows who this Cuddy is. Minor details. Mr. Cuddy? No, he's in the bathroom.
But she's doing all the work.
I'm gonna go with Cuddy. Call me.
Mr. Cuddy!
And he's getting all the credit.
Without him, you're nothing.
What? Even when I create the perfect man, he ends up stabbing me in the back. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna perpetrate a great big whammy.
Oh, yeah.
I need a new look. Oh, rich, powerful, and male.
White.
White?
Academy Award winner Whoopi Goldberg.
Hello, my name is Robert Cuddy. Deeper.
It's a miracle.
He is coming this fall.
Follow him.
The most successful man on Wall Street is a woman.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Cuddy.
Oh, my God! Mr. Cuddy!
Mr. Cuddy!
The Associate.
What a man.
Again, this is one of those movies where you could see where it could possibly go in the right direction, but it goes in the complete opposite direction. I mean, just the jokes in that trailer alone and the setup alone in that trailer should pretty much tell you to stay clear of this movie. And sadly, the movie basically just does that. It kind of goes just exactly like you think it will. It has a one-note joke to it. It doesn't really have anything that clever or interesting to say whatsoever. It's a bland comedy. It's not that funny. It's not that engaging. It's just the Tootsie formula all over again, mixed in with a little bit of Mrs. Doubtfire, which obviously are two better movies. And it just doesn't work as a film. I mean, it's not as offensively bad as something like White Chicks would be later on, as a couple years later, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, this is not a funny movie at all. Plus, the premise alone just really, it just doesn't have that feel. If the one reason why this person is doing this because, oh, we won't take a woman seriously, especially a black woman. It's just like, really, we're doing that stereotype now. It's just like kind of like again, this is something that could easily work in the right direction if you had the right people to work on it, script wise and directing wise. But it just doesn't work here in this case. It's a film that is a one-note premise. You can predict everything that's going to happen. You can predict that this is going to backfire big time. Everyone's going to realize that this Whoopi Goldberg's character actually is much smarter than they let on. And it just really doesn't work. It's a film that really has so much more promise to it. But if in the better hands, this would have been a great film overall. Could have been another Tootsie, could have been another Mrs. Doubtfire, but they just took the one-note approach and just went with it. It's just kind of like, I mean, it just didn't work. It's an unfunny movie. It's not that enjoyable. It's just not an enjoyable film. It's not an enjoyable film. It's not funny. It's not creative. It's just bland, mediocre, and doesn't really do anything new or creative to really stick out about these other films that are much better than this. What more do I gotta say? It's The Associate. So, with that said, how about another cross-dressing comedy? This one I think is at least better. I say think because I haven't seen it, but judging by this trailer, I think it's a lot better. It's the adaptation of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night.
From William Shakespeare comes a story that proves that sometimes clothes really do make the man.
I am the man.
The New York Times says Twelfth Night is a gleeful cross-dressing romp.
I love this show.
That's wittier than Birdgate and more fun than Tu Wong Fu.
Husband!
Twelfth Night has laughs, tears, action, beautiful women, and dashing men.
Yellow in my legs.
Twelfth Night, rated PG, now playing.
Was I right or was I right? Was it not a better movie than The Associate was? I haven't even seen the movie, and I can already tell you that this is a better movie than The Associate was. Of course, Twelfth Night is the story of this woman who disguises herself as a man to be with this guy that she really likes, but she ends up getting the lover of that person attracted to her, and this is something that we've seen done over and over again. This is not the first time the story's been adapted to movies or television. It's been done many, many times, sometimes in modern form with stuff like Just One of the Guys or She's the Man, Motocross, just a number of examples there. I mean, even a little bit of Mulan took a little bit, Mulan took a little bit from this well, actually, I would say it kind of did, but that was also kind of based on a true story too. But we'll eventually get to Mulan later on to really delve into that. But like I said, I haven't really seen this movie, but judging from the stuff here that I see in this trailer, I think it looks like it's a lot better film than much better than The Associate was, and it actually looks like a kind of enjoyable film, honestly. It looks like a really solid film. It's got a real good cast: Helena Bonham Carter, Richard E. Grant, Nigel Hawthorne, Ben Kingsley, Mel Smith, Imelda Staunton, Toby Stephens, Imogene Stubbs. I mean, some really notable names in this movie, and I think it looks like it's going to deliver everything it promises in terms of the adaptation of the story itself, and it looks like it could be a fun movie overall. I think it looks like it could be a really good film. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not, but already shows a lot of promise than the last movie we looked at. So that's Twelfth Night. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie here, and that is Michael Cimino's Sunchaser.
May beauty be before me. May beauty be above me. May beauty be all around me.
To Dr. Reynolds, folks. The youngest head of a section in surgery. You will remember your friend, won't you? What was your name?
Dr. Michael Reynolds had everything a man could want.
This patient should be down in pediatrics.
Pediatrics sent him up. They can't handle him.
What the hell does that mean? He's a killer.
Until he crossed paths with a criminal.
You looking at me like I'm an animal or something?
Who had nothing to lose.
I give him 1, maybe 2 months.
Still looking pretty.
Still looking good.
Now,
Drop it!
he's become a prisoner
What's the problem?
in a desperate escape.
Right now, there is a manhunt underway for you and me, my friend. Don't flatter yourself, man.
We were talking about you two on Good Morning America.
You have television.
No, smoke signals.
You need to be in a hospital. I need more than that. There's this magic lake on top of this mountain. If you swim in its waters, it'll take away all your sickness. You think because you saw some picture in some book that you're just gonna pull up in front of it like it's Disneyland? It's real. Ain't nothing sacred to you. If you think that you're gonna stop me, you're dead wrong. You ain't deep enough.
From Academy Award-winning director Michael Cimino, Woody Harrelson, John Seda, Sunchaser.
How the mighty have fallen. It's hard to believe that 20 years prior to this, almost 20 years prior to this guy did The Deer Hunter, and then he did, and ever since then, it's been downhill from there. After winning the Oscar for Best Picture and Best Director, this guy has not made a good movie since then. Heaven's Gate, Heaven's Gate is... Depends on which cut you look at that one. Year of the Dragon's not a good film. The Sicilian's not a good film. Desperate Hours, and he comes back with this movie, and this ended up being the last movie he ever directed. And man, is it a dull movie? It's a movie that probably has its heart in the right place, but really, we've seen movies like this done over and over again, and it's just not. It's not an enjoyable film. It's a really bad script. This dude basically takes this guy hostage and says, "Take me to this place is taking to this place I found in a drawing." And Woody Harrelson, you think he'd have I think he has the right to be angry, because it's just like, dude, you kidnapped me to take you to this place that probably doesn't even exist. And he's like, no, man, it exists. You just got to believe in yourself. It's just like, shut up. Like, just shut up. Like, this is so ridiculous. This is such a stupid concept. Real good talent in this movie that's just wasted here. I mean, like I said, Woody Harrelson, John Cena, Anne Bancroft's in here, Talisa Soto, Lawrence Pressman. Some notable names in here, but man, for a director that directed a Best Picture winner in The Deer Hunter, to go from that to this, and this having be your last movie before you die, I think he died a year after this. Oh no, he didn't die a year later. I thought he did, but no, this actually, he died in 2016, so 20 years after this movie came out, that's when he died. And to have this be the last thing that you're noted for, it's just like, what a major downfall for a director that made a great film like The Deer Hunter, and then to go from that to this, just unbelievable. The old saying, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen," and this is a prime example of that. So yeah, Sunchaser is not a very good movie, and what a disappointing end to a director that won a Best Director and Best Picture Oscar for this. So for The Deer Hunter, I should say, not this movie. But anyway, on to the next movie, the Muhammad Ali documentary, When We Were Kings.
A whole lot they don't know about the legacy of Muhammad Ali, because no matter what era you live in, you see very few true heroes.
Hey, you out, sucker.
So this is, of course, the documentary about the Rumble in the Jungle, the famous fight between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman taking place in the Congo, and features archival footage of celebrities including James Brown, B.B. King, features Don King, the big promoter who in the lead up to the fight and accompanying the Desire 74 Music Festival. You also have Norman Mailer, George Plimpton, Spike Lee, Thomas Hauser. And it took this guy, the director of this, Leon Guest, 22 years to put this movie together. And in the end, it paid off. It was a big hit critically and financially, and it won the Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. And I gotta say, man, I've seen this because I do really like Muhammad Ali. I have a lot of respect for him, for what he did. And those fights to watch back then are really legendary. And this is a really good documentary. It's a really good documentary chronologically looking at the moments leading up to this big fight. And it's just really good to watch. It's a really solid documentary. Even if you never knew too much about Muhammad Ali, you could definitely get a good sense of who this guy is watching this documentary. And I think they did a very good job of following the story very well here. It makes you want to watch some of those old fights, because some of those, like I said, some of those old fights are really legendary stuff. There's some really great stuff to watch from those old fights back in the day. And I'm not really much of a boxing fan, but man, that stuff is just too good to watch. Watching Muhammad Ali do what he does best. And George Foreman as well, too. I mean, these were two of the best boxers of all time going at each other. And really, what much more do you need to say about this movie? It's a great documentary, probably one of the best overall documentaries of the decade of the 1990s. I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not the biggest Muhammad Ali fan, you could definitely find a lot to get out of this. When We're King. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie here, and that is Normal Life.
The addiction.
If I'm gonna be alive, I want to be really alive.
And crime is the drug.
I wish I could fall into a black hole. I'd like to die that way.
Danger.
Like a bullet through smoke.
Is the greatest thrill of all. Luke Perry of Beverly Hills 90210 and Ashley Judd of Heat.
Forever, you said! You said forever!
Normal Life. Love it? You ready? Time to go. Or lose it.
Of course, this is directed by John McNaughton, whose first film, of course, was the controversial Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. He's also done stuff like Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll and Mad Dog and Glory. And this film is based off of a true story about the real-life accounts of husband and wife bank robbers Jeffrey and Jill Erickson. And the characters in here, played by Ashley Judd and Luke Perry, are pretty much based off of those characters here. And that's really all I know about this movie, because I haven't seen it before. Luke Perry and Ashley Judd have made some pretty good movies, and this one's got some pretty decent reviews to it. But it kind of reminds me kind of a modern-day equivalent to something like Bonnie and Clyde, or something like another version of Natural Born Killers, which I really like that movie a lot, and I like Bonnie and Clyde a lot. Like I said, I haven't seen this one, so I can't really say if it's too good or not, but I mean, it's got a pretty good cast here. Ashley Judd, Luke Perry, Kate Walsh is in here from Grey's Anatomy. It looks like it could be a pretty good film. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say too much more about this one. Came out this weekend. Wrap up this show with that one. That is Normal Life. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll jump into November with 7 movies, including William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, Bill Murray in the elephant comedy Larger Than Life, Greg Kinnear in Dear God, the horror film Bad Moon. We also have Mother Night, The Funeral, and Unhook the Stars. So 7 movies to look at next time. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.